they can make you have a little fear, then they can control you. Today's video is going to be good. We're going to see ways that the tactics of fear can really jeopardize what freedom is for people who really desire freedom. Today's video is going to be a good one, guys. It starts right now. Good morning, welcome to the Max. I have a jacket on. I know for people who are in the north, you're making fun of me because it is 50 out here and I'm actually pretty cold here in South Mississippi, but I'm enjoying this weather. The cows are enjoying this weather. It is a beautiful, beautiful morning. So today's video is going to be talking about some of the ways that we're seeing fear manipulated on the people of America and across the world, and how if we don't get a wrangle and a hold of what is being placed on us, we're gonna lose our freedoms very, very, very quickly. First and foremost, if you're new to the Max, please go down here, press subscribe and ring the bell. We've had some great videos and we've had a lot of videos go well over our subscriber count. I would love to see some of our subscriber counts go up, so if you could, please go down here, press subscribe, ring the bell, so that way you know what's coming up, because our goal is not only to show you our farm and sustainable living, not to only tell you how to prep and how to homestead, but also to hopefully go over current events that could help you be wise and make wise decisions for you and your family. Gotta bundle up a little bit more. It's kind of chilly this morning. So we're going to start off with one of the stories that has been making news really for the last 24 hours. We're going to talk about the Catholic pro-life family and how this gentleman who had the FBI come in and raid his property, they literally had 15 to 25 SWAT. It's amazing that the FBI is saying, well, no, we didn't have 25, we had 15. I don't know if that makes a better argument, but this guy voluntarily was going to give himself up. This gentleman took his son to an event. They were doing some kind of street witnessing and things like that. There's an older gentleman that was making derogatory remarks towards the child and towards this man, and this guy shoved him. Now, I'm not saying that we need to shove people. I'm not saying get into brawls by any means. I don't know the whole scenario. What I am saying is, does that justify a raid on your house to arrest you when he voluntarily was gonna turn himself in? Not only that, if I'm not mistaken, some of the local enforcement really didn't press this issue. All of a sudden, the FBI gets involved in it and it becomes a federal issue. How crazy is that? Help me understand this. Do you honestly believe if this was not a pro-life, pro-family, raises their kids homeschooling, if that did not take place in front of a Planned Parenthood, if this was a different scenario where this was not all conservative leaning guy, do you think the FBI would have went to his property and arrested him? Guns a-blazing. They said over 5 guns were pointed at this gentleman. The wife said, look, he had 5 guns pointed in his face while my 7 children watched. That's fear. That's promoting fear. Now, this guy was willing to turn himself in. He was not a convicted criminal. Again, we're allowing criminals that are literally doing way more than this, from misdemeanors all the way up to felonies, and we're allowing them back on the streets in major cities. And we take this guy with 15 to 25 FBI officers or SWAT officers at his home when all he was saying was, yeah, I pushed the guy. He was making bad comments towards my child. If this was not a pro-life guy and this was not a conservative, freedom-loving guy who loved, God and his religion and Jesus, would this have taken place? Something to think about. Another story that scares me with the FBI, and we've talked about the FBI a little bit lately, because I think they've been brought up in the news, and people are really starting to wake up to some of the ways they are manipulating us. And part of manipulation is fear. So if, like the first story with the gentleman, the pro-life gentleman that now got raided and basically taken, the My Pillow guy from last week that we talked about, of course all these other raids that they've done at the Amish farms and so forth. Now, no matter what your views are on some of those things, is there ever a reason that SWAT needs to be called in or FBI raids need to happen for people who are not, I mean, it's not like they were not voluntarily doing what the FBI or the law enforcement wanted. That was not the case. Every one of those cases where if there was a situation where the law enforcement were pressing them for something, every one of them were pretty much giving them what they wanted, or they were kind of working alongside, willing to turn themselves in. So why do we see such an influx of all these raids and all these FBI SWAT? It's fear. If they can make you fear, then they'll make you shut your mouth. Now, there's a story about a FBI whistleblower, and I know you've heard this. There's an FBI whistleblower and his family now that are starting to feel a lot of persecution for him coming out and saying that the FBI may be compromised in some fashions. And he was saying that we were taking off cases that were probably more important, such as child crimes or true criminal crimes, to then try to get these charges up and bring up charges on all these domestic terrorists, all these right-wing domestic terrorists. So if we see that the FBI is trying to drum up charges on one side, not saying that if you're doing bad things you shouldn't go and be investigated, I'm not saying that, but I'm saying we're saying we're going to pass up some of the child trafficking or the child crimes or some of these true crimes that we know we're looking for, these wanted people, and take people off those kind of cases to then go to some that we're trying to bring up kind of a falsified charge against domestic terrorism. And again, not that I'm not against them going for domestic terrorists, but what is their definition of a domestic terrorist? Well, right now it's people who wear a freedom-loving flag on their chest, or someone wears a Betsy Ross flag, or one that says "Don't tread on me." If that is considered domestic terrorism, what does that look like for us? That looks like they're trying to portray fear on us instead of actually doing what their job is and trying to protect us. They're now making us fear more. So we saw that in the first two stories. Now, on the lighter side, we're going to talk about one dealing with another YouTuber and how he's had someone come against him on a shirt that says 1776. I don't know if y'all check out Mark Dice. Mark Dice, I like watching Mark Dice. He brings a humor to some of the news that we hear, and it kind of brings a lighter side to it. But he is a phenomenal YouTuber. And he brought up a comment the other day that there was someone investigating him or wanting his opinion on some of his t-shirts that said, 1776, and had more freedom quotes on it, and how that was going to be looked upon as almost a fascist view. Now let's think about that. 1776 was when our country was founded. Of course, we know all that. I have shirts that says 1776 on it too in our shirt stores. We're seeing these news sources go after people who just simply want freedom. That shirt had nothing to do with anything other than saying 1776. If you go back to the episode, I'll try to link it below, but Mark Dice talks about this shirt. All it said was 1776 on it. The sad part of this is we're seeing more news medias take upon labeling what extremism is and labeling how dangerous it is to say these kind of things like "Don't tread on me" or 1776 or freedom-loving Americans, or having that approach. Is that a wrong thing? Should that make you fear a little bit? Is that promoting anything other than freedom? Well, they're spinning it now and saying it may be promoting hate and fascistic ways. Well, actually, a fascistic movement would be more towards a socialism movement. I wouldn't say it really comes back to a freedom-loving conservative view of America and wanting our freedoms and liberties and a sovereignty that we do have. So do we see the commonality here? It seems like if they can make you fear enough, it'll help you not talk as much. It'll help you just go with the flow. I think one problem that conservatives or people who love freedom have, it's like me. I love living on a farm. I love doing farm work. I can talk to the cows all they want and they won't talk back to me. Same way with the pigs. I love raising my family. We homeschool, love that. But a lot of times if those issues are not touching me, I may, as a normal person who works all the time, they may say, you know what, it's just not that important for me to get into that issue. And I think that's what the FBI has done a really good job of, and also government. Both sides, please, I'm not one-sided on this. I'm saying both sides, to where we believe that the government can then put enough pressure on us as Americans to believe that we still have freedoms, but that if we just keep our mouth shut, we can kind of go along with it and it won't affect us. Well, all these policies that we're seeing that are going to be placed, that has been placed on us, especially over the last few years, it seems like all of those are slowly but surely taking away our freedoms. And by promoting fear and us seeing all these raids, and they've been put on TV and on the media, and all these people who are getting busted for things that are really not that important, or people who are not getting fair trials, or criminals who are being released on the streets, but then we're holding someone for, shoving someone in front on the sidewalk and arresting him. but then we allow the criminals to go free. All I'm saying is sometimes fear that they're promoting is going to make Americans not talk as much. And when we don't talk as much, or when we don't stand up for what we believe in, then what do? We just kowtow to whatever they tell us to do. We tend to not stand up for our freedoms, and we start slowly but surely losing those. Now, a little hope. I'm hoping for some of this to come to America, but we're seeing Italy, how they've just elected someone who is a conservative. Her view was that she wanted God and family and promotion of Italians, which is where they're from, Italy first, kind of promotion. Those three things were kind of what she was standing on. The media is spinning her as this right-wing, extremist, fascist person who wants to, you know, rule over her people. Again, I don't know her. It seems like the interview she's done, all she's promoted is she wants to be able to serve the God she wants to serve, love her family and be good to her family, and have Italians first, have an immigration policy where Italy can take care of itself. Are those bad things? And we see that maneuvering across parts of Europe. I think Sweden was another one that elected someone who tended to lean towards having a good immigration policy and wanting their nation to thrive. That's not a bad thing. I don't understand why we don't want America to thrive like that, or we don't want any country to have their own sovereignty to thrive. We've missed that. I don't understand that. I love seeing hope in different areas. I love seeing hope around America, where we're seeing people are waking up to some of the reality of what we're talking about. We do not need to lose our freedom and our sovereignty. We need to be promoting a true freedom. We need to find people who are willing to stand up and have a backbone. Now, here's the kicker. I'm not saying I want a politician to follow everything that I want. That's not his job. His job is to work for the people. It's not to do what I want. It's to allow for freedom to reign, to where people can do what they feel on their own property. People are not taxed to being poor. They're not swayed with fear. I don't want a politician to do what I want, because what I want may not be what you want. What I want is a politician to take some of the regulations away, and some of the leadership to take some of the regulations away, and let people guide themselves. If we're adults and we can make decisions, why can't we make decisions that seem like they'd be best for us and our family? I know my family better than anyone else knows my family. You know your family better than anyone else knows your family. So why can't we make wise decisions without so much overreach from the government and so much fear that has been promoted? So wrapping it up, check your stories, check these stories, see what you can find out. Give me your thoughts on them. This guy who's a pro-life guy and was standing in front doing his own thing on the sidewalk, I'm not saying he's right or wrong. That's your decision to make. What I am saying is, though, he shoved another gentleman, an escort, into this clinic, this abortion clinic. He shoved that guy. It looks like derogatory remarks were made to a 12-year-old kid that he had there. Should he have had his kid there? I don't know. I'm not saying that's wrong or right. I'm saying that we're allowing kids to be influenced by, you know, these schools that are allowing you know, sexual indoctrination in our schools. So what's the difference in having a 12-year-old at a abortion clinic trying to witness and do things that seems right to his family? So I'm not jumping into that. I'm saying if we are going to raid and arrest people like that with guns ablazing, you know, SWAT teams entering the house and taking him in front of all his kids, but then the people who are actually on camera breaking in, busting, doing crimes, having drugs, and the cities are now being soft on that and releasing those back. You don't believe it? Look at all the cities. Their crime rates are crazy. They're up because they're being softer on crime. So we're arresting people like this and letting other people go like this. That's a bad policy. I think it's fear. We're showing fear. We're showing fear that we should fear all the people and this, you know, it's dangerous, so maybe we should stay inside. Or we're promoting fear of, hey, you don't need to speak out because ultimately we're coming for you. And then we see, you know, this YouTuber who is just selling merchandise, who's trying to make a living. It says 1776. There's nothing about that shirt that promotes fear. I mean, what's wrong with it? 1776 should be a date that everybody's happy with because we live in a free nation, or that's what it was set up to be. And then thirdly, we see the FBI whistleblower and his family that are being persecuted. His wife just got kicked off social media. He's being persecuted. It's actually being shown that he is getting a lot more threats because he is speaking out. The whole point of being a whistleblower is so that you could be protected. When we don't speak as much, or we tend to fear what is being shown in the media or from our government, then we tend to start losing some of our freedoms. All I'm saying is wake up and see what is being promoted. the fear that's being driven, but also see the hope. All of a sudden, Italy elects someone who may have a different view of that. We see a movement towards a lot of governors and Senate races and representatives. Some of those are giving us hope, because it seems like some of those people are not saying they want to promote what I want. They're saying they're just wanting to promote freedom, to where deregulation, and we see that there is a sovereignty back to this country. Please do your research, find wisdom, seek wisdom, and see some of these things that I think the government is overreaching, but also utilizing the enforcement side of government, such as the FBI, to scare us. We do not need fear, we need hope. As I always end our videos, hope is always found on the spiritual level in Christ. I believe He's the answer. Do I believe America will ever be back great and sovereign and free again? I don't know. I don't know if we'll ever get back to that point. I think we'd be wrong not to have that hope always. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Give me your thoughts on this video. If you like it, you don't like it. If you don't believe what I'm saying, or you think I'm crazy, or you think I'm right on, I need to know what you think. And guys, thank you so much for watching us and supporting our channel. It does mean the world to us that you comment on our videos, because we do read those things. We do want to hear what you have to say, because ultimately we're in this thing together. No matter if we disagree on certain issues, we are Americans, and it's our goal to work together, to stay free, to be sovereign, and to ultimately have the liberty that we set up back in 1776. Thank you guys so much for watching. God bless. Happy homestead, y'all.